You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk 1150 AM. Now, back to the show with local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
You are listening to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 20th show. You can also listen to my show podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for information on my upcoming community outreach events, please go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I bring into studio each week the best of the best experts in our local market on everything regarding your money. And now in studio, I have Nick Anderson of Chosen Leader, leading from the middle in corporate America, right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Nick, so excited to have you on the show. I had an introduction to you saying that we needed to connect, and you were doing some amazing stuff. Had a great one-to-one with you and said, I need to have you in the show now. Got you booked. All happened very quickly because that's the way you do things. And I'm just excited to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thanks, Tina.
So let's talk about what is your brand, Chosen Leader, all about?
I say that the brand Chosen Leader is all about supporting the development of leaders everywhere. And more specifically, what I observed in my corporate career is that there were a number of coaches and folks, advisors, mentors who build themselves as executive coaches and coaches to CEOs. I really want to focus on the middle manager, the folks that manage branch offices, that manage divisions, areas, territories, because I think that's a really unique place to be, leading from the middle. Perhaps you're responsible to and for a team. You've got executive leadership that you're responsible to. You've got peer leadership that you're reliant on them and their teams, and you're pulled in many different directions. So it's a unique space to be in. Mm-hmm. And then, Google tells me there's 11 million middle managers in America, and I just think they need some love.
Yeah, well, what a great thing to fill a space that needs support, right? And coming from corporate America yourself, you have all of the experience behind the scenes to see how maybe things could be done a little bit differently to take it to a higher level. So that is great, and really excited that you're on this venture here. So what makes a leader in corporate America successful these days?
Yeah. So just, taking into consideration that just about every leader in corporate America is in the middle somehow. Even the CEO of a corporation is responsible to a board of directors. They're not truly the only autonomous independent leader is the founder or the entrepreneur. Uh-huh. So what makes someone successful is an ability to relate, an ability to communicate. And what really sets the successful apart from, let's say, the average is that person who can look in the mirror and be real honest about what they see. It's the person who dedicates their life to self-improvement, to always getting better, even when they're really good. Yeah. They walk through life with humility and confidence. That balance is very important.
Yeah, and that is the perfect balance, walking with humility and confidence. But it's a process that you have to go through to get there, because when you're going through the humility stage or the vulnerable stage, it is not good as your first start there. And it actually, at the beginning, it can take away some of the level of expertise until you've mastered that space, but you can't prevent yourself from leveling up in fear of that temporary step back that you have to take to get there. Would that be correct, Nick?
It is. And when I work one-on-one with individuals, we start with who are you? What are you about? And to be quite honest, I want to spend time with someone to discern whether or not I can get along, if we're going to be friends. Because I just say it straight up. If I don't like you, we're not going to work together. and vice versa. If you don't like me, then we shouldn't work together.
Sure.
So, but in that conversation, some things will be uncovered, and we'll follow up with an assignment of 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different assessments of personality and skill.
Mm-hmm.
These are very familiar assessments. There's the Strengths Finder and the Myers-Briggs and so forth. What I will do is ask my clients 4 questions. What did you read that you agree with? And what did you read that you disagree with? What did you read that you liked? And what did you read that hurt the most? And it's really that last question that I want to focus on, because these are the areas of insecurity, the areas that we hide in the shadows that come out sideways in, dysfunctional and toxic management.
Yeah.
And I want to pull them out and put them in the light, and let's shore that up. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the humility piece that you talk about, where you got to maybe take a step back before you can take 2 or 3 steps forward. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to dig deep and get down to the core of where the problem is. Otherwise, it's going to spiral downhill very quickly, and then it's going to affect everybody that you're really there to support. So a lot of people are talking about the Great Resignation. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, and there's even this new label of quiet quitting. So, I'm a card-carrying member of the Great Resignation crowd, right? I worked 25 years in banking and retired 6 months ago when millions of other people left their jobs. And this, to me, is an indication that companies, that corporate leadership has not figured out how to keep people engaged. And there's an element of this that I want to liken to a college sports program. Mm-hmm. So it used to be in the corporate world that there was an expectation someone would come to work for the company for 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years and then retire. But it's never been that way in college sports. The college coaches have always known that that they would have students for 4 years. And yet there are college sports programs that are year after year after year successful. I think the current paradigm in the workforce requires corporate managers to perceive their workforce like a transient student workforce, that you might only have someone for 2, 3, or 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
When I started my career in banking, the first job that I held for 8 years. And when I was leaving, I was scared because I was afraid that would look bad on my resume. Mm-hmm. And this is just wrong thinking. I then went on to another job for 5 years, and then 3 years, and then my last one was 6. In those short periods of time, I did more for those companies because I was really focused, I was engaged, and when I was done with my work, it was time for me to move on.
Yes.
Yeah,
and they can bring someone new in that has that same level of excitement of the new opportunity. Yeah.
So I think rather than being afraid of this from the employer perspective, there's an opportunity to really embrace it and say, hey, what is it that you want to do with the rest of your life?
Yes.
How can we be a part of that journey for you for 2 or 3 or 4 years? And let's be really clear about our production expectations.
Yes.
And let's make a fair trade. We'll get 3 years of your life, and you'll get some form of compensation and experience in return. Mm-hmm. And if it's all clean and clear, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So who do you work with, Nick? You shared a little bit. Obviously, you're finding somebody that you like, and you like me, and you're here on my show, so I like you, and you came into my show, so you like me. So so share a little bit more about who you're ideal.
I originally set out to serve that middle management community. In fact, the book that I wrote is titled 6-Word Lessons for Middle Managers. And I share all of my content and my ideas across every social media platform ever invented. That's exciting and tiresome at the same time.
I noticed that on your keynote, all of it scrolling your keynote page, all of it scrolling at the bottom. I'm like, oh, I'm missing out on quite a few of those, but
it's scratching the creative itch, and I like it. So what's very interesting is that about 50% of my clients right now are nonprofit executives, nonprofit CEOs.
Okay.
And the other 50% is a mix of either high performing salespeople that want to be in a leadership role, or someone who's just been promoted into a leadership role and they don't really have the support around them. I'm working with one person who's in transition in their career, so not employed. So there's who I thought I was going to serve, and then there are the folks that are responding to the content that I'm sharing. And I think the lessons in my book are ubiquitous. It's not a book necessarily for middle managers, although that was my desire. I probably could have titled it 6-word lessons for life. So that's who's responding. So
Yeah.
it's been real fun. It's been real fun.
That is great. So why do leaders hire you for their coach, Nick?
I think
what is the biggest problem that they have that they're bringing you on?
Yeah. So the problems that I'm being asked to solve are, I want to be promoted and I've been passed up.
Okay.
Or, I want to be promoted and I don't think I'm ready.
Okay.
Or my company is not treating me well. I'm undercompensated and I'm looking for a new role. And then lastly, I'm actually really successful in my career, but my personal life is just all out of whack.
Yeah.
And so people hire me, I think, because I'm very open and authentic in the stories that I share on all these social media platforms. I tell about my journey in life and my struggles and the things that I've overcome while also being successful. I share the L's and the W's. And I think, when those stories hit, when they resonate, then someone wants to reach out and say, hey, I think you understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I listened to your keynote right after we met, and the poem that your dad wrote literally had me in tears. And then you shared after reading the poem that was right before he took his life, and sharing the story of the walk that you and your wife went on, and she was hit by a car and didn't survive. I mean, it's going to bring me to tears right now. And I have my own story, as you know, of tragedy to triumph, but that really is the key. It's embracing our story and who we are, so that you can share that story, be vulnerable with the people that need your message and or product and service that you have to offer. And then they can be able to connect with you, connect with themselves through their story, and then be the person that they were designed to live by living in their story, as sharing their story as well. Because I believe our story, we should reach to the past for what feels proud that we got through that, and the lessons that we can learn and share with others, and then be excited for our future as well. Right?
I do.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, Nick, what are some of the successes of your clients that you have that they've had after working with you?
Such a timely question, because here's real-time story. Just yesterday, someone whom I've worked with got the job offer that the dream job, the big title, the big everything. And it was just a massive, massive win.
Yay.
And then, another story that was, this might be 6 weeks old now, but a man that I was working with was in that position of feeling, maybe undervalued and not clear on, do I stay, do I go? And through our time together, he actually fielded a couple offers from competitors, and then had a conversation with his current employer, and was able to get what he wanted. And what's funny is, that could be deemed a compensation conversation, but it really wasn't. Our work together was on his clarity of what exactly he wanted to do with his career, because the job offers that he had were very different than the job that he had and ultimately retained. And so there's a lot of confusion that can happen in a person's life when faced with that. And, we got clear.
Yeah. Well, and through clarity, you're building their confidence, and then with confidence, they're going to share and go and lead with what they want. And that's the power of what you're doing, Nick. So what advice do you have for someone wanting to become a leader in their profession?
Yeah. So often that the desire to lead is a focus externally. So I say it this way. Leadership is a choice, and leadership is not necessarily the choice of the leader.
Mm-hmm.
But leadership is always the choice of someone who chooses to follow another. Um, John Maxwell said, if you think you're leading but no one's following, well, you're just taking a walk. So the notion of leadership really requires someone else making a decision,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have any control over that.
Yeah.
The only thing that you control are the decisions you make for yourself. So it goes like this. The choice of leadership for the person who wants to lead is such that you should choose to live in a way that if someone else chooses to follow you, you would be proud of that. And
Yeah.
so much of the work that we do in the Chosen Leader is on self.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've already shared some things personally in the struggles that you have gone through in your life and why you're the person that you are today. But as I'm wrapping up my time with you, Nick, personally, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah. Well, in this season of retirement, about 25% of my life, I'm pretty clear on my time allocation. 25% of my life is reserved for the time with my children and myself. And I just took my oldest son on a 22-mile hike across the enchantments in Leavenworth. And that was a 20-hour experience. We got on the trail at 6 a.m. and got off at 2 a.m. And it was, it's just a memory that we will both share forever.
Yeah.
And I play a lot of sports and do a lot of outdoor stuff. But it's that kind of memory that I'm really interested in making for my boys and for myself.
So someone's listening to the show right now, and I'm sure there's many someones that are listening to the show, but I always like to just talk to one person that's listening. So if you're listening to the show right now and you want to get connected with Nick, and I hope that I've inspired you to do so because he's an amazing person, amazing soul, and doing beautiful things in this world. Nick, how do they get in contact with you?
Best way is through the website, chosen-leader.com. All those socials are on there. My phone number's on there. I like it when people call, email, text, direct message. Yeah. chosen-leader.com.
chosen-leader.com. Nick, it was a pleasure to have you on my show. I'm excited to watch you in your journey and definitely to have you back on the show with updates. So thank you so much.
Thank you.